was using 2 bats. His one bat disappeared. His mother took it to a Babaji that the family believes in, and that whole Sangat blessed the bat. And that's the bat with which he played the World Cup. The moment the World Cup was over, the bat broke. I find those stories totally psychic and fantastic. Because people would walk into his sitting room and he'll say, okay, hello. He said, who are you? He said, sir, I'm your lawyer. Or sir, I'm your chartered accountant. Like, he could recognize people.
Really?
Yeah. We actually got up on our feet and we started clapping. Which you don't do in a press box normally.
What was Flintoff's reaction?
Who was watching? We were looking at Yuvraj, who was behaving like a king, like I won the world. Yeah.
It's in the air. It's a 6.
Okay, welcome to a century of stories. Cricket brought to you by IDFC FIRST Bank, now recognized by Forbes among the world's best banks of 2025. Okay, and welcome to our show. Sharda Ugra, a friend of mine, we go back a long way. Because I'm old and she's not, but we go back a long way. Journalist, columnist, you've written lots of books, and perhaps the highest paid individual columnist in India as well, according to some data that I've lost. It was with me in the beginning. But more importantly, you have a wealth of knowledge of cricket, and our show is all about cricket, and we're always thirsty for stuff about famous cricketers, incidents, pitch conditions, combinations, permutations. I'll keep talking until you interrupt me.
But so today, happy to be your Cyrus.
Today we are going to talk about one of India's favourite sons. And I think for a time, arguably the most famous Indian cricketer for a little while, when his one-day exploits were out of control. I mean, he really took it to another level. I mean, everybody knows about the 6 sixes. Everybody knows about his, I think, 15 12 balls, if I remember correctly, in an IPL game. In a World Cup game, in fact, T20 game.
And also as under 19. He was a guy, under 19 World Cup, he sort of led the way. I want to tell the story about sort of post Yuvraj Singh. This is when, after the World Cup, after the cancer, this is like my pet story about
2011.
Post 2011, post that. So when the book was almost the book that I helped him write, get published, etc. So I had gone to a bank in Noida to speak to some insurance guy about something very boring.
Can you name the insurance guy so that we are very specific here?
Oh my God! Actually, seriously, I do. In Noida.
I'm just kidding.
I know. I was just thinking, so this is journalist brain. I should have taken the guy's name down.
Yeah.
Anyway,
just call him Mishra. Yeah. Carry on.
Mishra ji. So Mishra, I was talking to him and he said, and we started talking about cricket, as happens something or the other matches on. Then I said, Yuvraj Singh has got a book to write, and I mean he's written this book. I've been helped him in this whole thing, and Nishant Arora, who's his manager, was also there. It was like one big collaborative exercise, and it's gone to the press and everything. So he said, what's the book called? And we had been sort of debating about the topic and the title of the book. What's it going to be? I said, what would you call it? And it was literally like Mishra ji, who we have now called Mishra ji. He just looked at me without missing a beat, and he said, Zindadil. And I was like, my God, where does this name come from? But it was so Yuvraj. Eventually, the book was called Test of My Life or whatever. But I thought Zindadil was beautiful because it captured everything. And I love that story. I love it.
I used to write for Dakunyas as in advertising. Greatest job ever. And we used to do the Amul Butter hoardings. And Lara had hit the 375 the first time he broke the world record.
Yeah.
And that morning, I was having that watermelon plate downstairs at Nariman Point. And I was trying to think, we have to put Lara on. It's too big a thing. And the boys around me were talking. And somebody said, "Arey, Lara kya mara?"
Oh, you stole it.
We put it up. Yeah, I put it up. But I don't deny it was some joker saying it. But it was so colloquial that the rest of his career, whenever we made runs, our papers would Lara kya mara, Lara kya mara, Lara kya mara.
And
so
you didn't get any credit
for it. The real genius, I mean, sadly was some guy.
Whose name you didn't ask.
No, God knows, they were talking away from me, But this is life. But
this
like
is Indian cricket.
No, but this is like, you just hear it and it's spot on. No?
Yeah, so it was just the most wonderful thing. And that's basically the kind of player that Yuvraj was. He was all like out there.
He was the most flamboyant guy in the lot in that period.
He was like the leader of the brat pack.
Yeah.
Like, that everyone else who was around him said, he would go to the party, we would get scolded, saying you have done something wrong. That kind of guy that he was.
Let's go back to the beginning. You said under 19. I should have started with that, because I think that's the first generation of under 19 Indian cricketers where you suddenly look and say, okay, this is going to be the next senior champion.
And they were a very different sort of a generation of cricketers that came into Indian cricket. Previously, we had like all these very chup-chap, well-behaved, sort of high achievers, but very sort of subdued, mellow.
It's also a sign of the times, more in your face. And
absolutely.
I mean, advertising is in your face, the lights are in your face.
And Saurav Ganguly was there, yes, go, do whatever you want, and I'll look after you kind of thing, as their captain almost. So in that way, that's the time that he first came out. And because he played against the Australians in the knockout, ICC knockout it was called.
That big 84 or 86 or something.
Some crazy numbers. And Adam Gilchrist did a brilliant impersonation of Yuvraj walking to the crease. You know how he used to walk like shambolically and this and that, chewing gum and all. Adam Gilchrist said, we are looking at this guy and said, this is some child has come to play. He was whatever age he was. That was his first game. And he had that whole way about him and his helmet and all that. He did just the most brilliant impersonation because of who he turned out to be. And you'd always heard stories about Yuvraj. There was one that's there of that World Cup. That's also a classic story. It's a classic Yuvraj story. He likes to tell it also. Is that they had to set a score for Australia and he was waiting on this. And Anand Vasu, the journalist friend of mine, he said that he was also going to cover that for Cricket 4. And Yuvraj was talking to some cricketers from Kenya, under 19 cricketers from Kenya. He said, yeah, India can score 75, 80 runs in the last 10 overs, which in 2000 was like
rare.
Not happening. And I said, I can make 15, 25 balls. What's the problem? And all. He went out and did that.
Exactly that.
Yeah, he went and they won the match. They became champions, and then they became, like you said, this is the next generation. Under 19 World Cup became something.
But he wasn't like arrogant. I think he was just being like,
it was his demeanor.
Confident in a real way. Yeah.
It's like how he used to walk and come. So like what the Australians saw, they were like, how dare you do this against us? And he was like, boss, I'm from Chandigarh. Who do you think you are?
But you know, talking about his legend, I remember because I started taking my dogs to Oval while other people were playing cricket from the year 2000, and he had just left about 3 or 4 years earlier from there, and he was legendary from their Elf Academy because he apparently hit the ball across one into Eros, one into Cooperage, and one into the High Court. Those cases still
the
pending.
High Court. Yeah.
So but no one else. I think Dilip Vengsarkar was like, where's this boy from?
Correct. Yeah. And a most un-Dilip Vengsarkar-like personality he had. He was like the full opposite. There's another great story about him from Chel. Yeah. He went in one of his very junior camps. He joined. Bishan Singh Bedi used to run a annual camp and take these kids somewhere. Once they went and stayed in some stadium where there were some 10 of them in a room and the fan was at the top. Then he took them to Chel, highest cricket ground in the world. And this guy started taka-tak hitting sixes. So Bishan Singh Bedi said 6 means out. Because every ball costs 300 rupees. Every ball costs 300 rupees. The ball is going into the valley. We're not going to get it 6 means out.
Fair
that was the rule.
Yeah.
So he had these stories about him and his six hitting and his big hitting much before.
Sharda, I've spoken to so many people, and I don't know if you agree, but perhaps the cleanest hitter was a cricket ball that's come from India. And we're talking about Kapil Dev, Sandeep Patil, generations before.
Of course, now recency bias will give the name to some modern person, but
Yuvraj
at that time was like,
he had that backlift and that clean sweep. I keep going back to that Elf thing because I go there all the time and I look at those dimensions and I'm thinking, that's a serious hit, You're crossing a road with the ball. You're not just...
So it actually went to Cooperage, or that was just a story?
We don't know for a fact, but the legend lives on.
The High Court story is great.
I think one of them must be true, and then you sort of spin it after some time.
And then it must have reached
big sixes.
It must have reached that one statue, and then it became Cooperage, then it became Kafarate, then it became whatever.
What I heard, Dilip Vengsarkar saw the talent immediately. Of course, Yograj was a friend and all that. That might have helped his father. Might have helped a little bit, but...
And then there's another bizarre story, again, which is from his life, where he was playing against, I think it was some under-19 Sri Lankan cricketers. I could have this absolutely wrong. It was another under-19 team, and he broke one bowler's foot and the other person's hand in this just straight hitting.
Yeah.
That kind
As
of
in the follow-through, they got hit.
He hits the six and somebody breaks his hand and somebody breaks his foot. Separate sixes, but whatever.
I wouldn't want to stand a short leg to Yuvraj Singh, honestly, powerful hitter of the ball. And timer, not just power, both coming together. Then he had the Kenya tournament, tournament in Kenya, where he makes his name and makes his bone, so to speak.
He comes in there, and of course, we'd all heard about this. He was like the talent. He was like the Vaibhav Suryavanshi of his Jamana, So he was like this 18, 19-year-old, whatever. And this is before social media, before anything. He was just sensational. But of course, then because he was rock star, he liked parties and he used to do mad things. He used to go, at one point, this story was told to me the day he retired by Harbhajan Singh when I was doing a piece on, what do you think of Yuvraj? Tell us about his life type of. He said, through Chandigarh, he used to stick his head out of the car window and shout, I am Yuvraj Singh, do you know who I am?
Before?
After Nairobi. And
so after some fame.
After some fame, And they used to listen to music. And he was one of the under-19 guys who had a Gaadi. It was like, look at me. It was like that. This is who I am, kind of a thing. But it was just his nature. He was just happy, excited. Because his childhood was a little bit tough, his dad was very strict or whatever. He was this was like his outing, and he had all his buddies with him.
So Yograj really pushed his son.
He said, I wanted him to be like a tiger. I wanted him to play fast bowling well. That was his
tough love.
That was his fundamental. You will not be scared. He used to take him to, when he was a really young boy, and make senior bowlers bowl at him without helmet. He had to go play without helmet. So he was not afraid of fast bowling in that sense. You know,
He didn't have a choice.
He did.
I think a Chappell's story is similar, right?
Yeah.
Their grandfather, who also played for Australia,
Yeah.
when the boys
Victor
were young,
Richardson, yeah.
he and their father would throw the balls at them so that they
Correct.
got used to being hit by a
Correct.
season ball.
Correct.
Literally told them, you stand there and take the blow.
The family used to live together. His mother had a beautiful garden. He dug up the garden and made it like a pitch and with lights and whatever and everything. And like put cement on it and said, now you have to play cricket. Like the garden was not there. Now it's gone back to being a garden. You can see it in videos and
This is
stuff.
such a sad story, actually. It caught me off guard here.
Yeah.
This ball left the right-hander. I didn't read it at all.
So many of these stories of parental discipline or parental
Or
this
ambition.
thing or parental ambition. It is parental ambition.
Yuvraj became the superstar. Yograj was not.
Correct. So he meets with this, and for him, cricket becomes a release and a solace because there was a problem at home in the family. He used to just go and play wherever he wanted to. He said, wherever I could get to play, I would go and play. You know the roller skating story also, right? He was
I know it, but tell it once. I know
Okay.
it's a pretty famous one, but we must
So
tell it.
he loved roller skating.
That was his actual first
That
love.
was his actual first love.
Yeah.
He used to play decent tennis also. He loved roller skating. I've not clarified whether he became national under 14 roller skating champion or
But
state
he was
under.
competitive.
But he was competitive, and he was Yuvraj Singh. He was good.
Yeah.
And after he won that, his dad at one point took his medals and his skates and threw it out of the car when they were coming back. So there was like that boss, you're not going to do this. They called it a girls.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to get into that, but I read the same thing.
So and it's like and your heart breaks if you think of a 14-year-old
crashed the
child.
sport and said, you're not doing this.
You're not doing this. You are playing cricket.
And Yuvraj loved it. And he was very good.
He was very good. He enjoyed sort of the freedom of movement, of being, that nothing is to stop him. He's at speed. He's doing his thing. And he was actually born very athletic and a competitor, but maybe not cricket. It was tennis or whatever else it was.
But it shows in
Or
the
skating.
fielding part of it. Because he seems like a natural fielder.
Because everyone hated Yograj in Chandigarh.
Yeah.
Or reporters, cricketers, I don't think reporters hated. Other cricketers thought Yograj was who he
much,
was.
yeah.
Too much. And once in his first Ranji Trophy match against Punjab, he scored a duck and he dropped a catch or misfielded or something like that. And the ball went through his legs and they said Gateway of India was the headline in the paper.
God.
So then he said, no, now you have to become like the best fielder in the country.
This is the dad again.
This, of course.
Yeah.
And then it came from that. It came from that place. He became.
Well, I still believe that the better fielders, when you look at them, they're just like Jadeja today,
They're just
or John T. Rhodes, just
naturals.
natural athletes. Oh, Kaif, for example.
Yeah.
Light
Yeah.
on his feet,
Yeah,
whatever you
yeah.
say.
Quick on his feet.
Very quick.
But Yuvraj's like reflexes and all that were just his anticipation actually. More than his anticipation of what was going to
He was at
happen.
Gully
was
and point for most of his life.
Yeah.
I think
And
it was
you
the
remember that
end of his career, maybe not.
in
Yeah.
that Champions Trophy in Sri Lanka, that 2001 or 2, where we shared it with Sri
Yeah,
Lanka
yeah,
because
yeah,
it rained
yeah,
2
yeah,
days
yeah.
on a row.
Correct.
There he took 3 or 4 catches against the South African, including of John T. Rhodes.
Yeah.
And like fast catches that came from behind the batsman and diving. And we were there at that match. We thought match khatam, we are going now. India's out of
I
the
think for us watching in the early 2000s, watching
Yeah.
Kaif and him
Yeah.
at
it was like magic.
point and
was
extra
like
cover,
we can't
point and
believe-
gully. No, you just felt that they would do something. It was like an extra wicket coming from them.
Correct.
In a sense, because they'll pluck it out of the
Correct.
sky, they'll pluck it
Correct.
from here.
We never seen it in India.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
before. They say Tiger Patowdy was very
Tiger
quick on
Patowdy,
his feet, but
Solkar at short leg, but
yeah.
you didn't see it on television live in Technicolor.
True.
So that South Africa match, we really thought we were going to lose.
Yeah.
In Sri Lanka, we said, "Chalo, abhi pe 80 pack, we'll go home tomorrow, day after, whatever it was,"
Hmm.
and then these catches came out of nowhere, and then everyone South Africa. In the past, then
Yeah.
the game was over. Yeah.
Let's get back to Yuvraj's early career first. So white ball cricket, he made a name for himself. There was no T20 then, so it's all 50 overs.
Yeah.
And he started becoming better and better at it. And he batted everywhere in the middle order
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah. Then he had a little phase.
yeah.
The Bay City roller story is a great story. I must tell it.
Please.
So this came from John Wright calls him once. Sees him as an incredible player. He looks at him and sees him and says whatever. But he was not he was not finishing the innings. He was having short innings, or not even getting enough runs, getting out, and you're set and you're not
So he
getting
wanted
the
him to
kind of
bat
run.
longer,
He wanted to bat
deeper.
longer, take responsibility. This fellow would be good there. So he called him to his room and he told him, he said, "Have you heard about this band called Bay City Rollers?" Yuvraj Singh, polite Indian boy, was standing there and listening and nodding his head. So he was talking about fleeting fame, that how fame is very fleeting and it can go very quickly and you have to like build on what you get. So he just nodded his head and went out and he had no clue what was being discussed. None. He did not know Bay City Rollers.
What is the band called?
Yeah, Bay City Rollers. See, it was like a one-off. Like
Now I understand the metaphor, but I'm
Yeah.
saying Bay City Rollers, who will know? With due
How will
respect.
Yuvraj Singh
If you're
know?
watching, we apologize, Bay City
Yeah,
Rollers.
yeah. So it was like this one hit band kind
Yeah,
of thing that was
yeah.
there. So so he was not able to take control of a game, basically.
Okay.
And I think NatWest may have changed.
But in a way, the way he bats or the way he batted in the first half of his career, that flamboyance, that amateur devil-may-care attitude, that makes you bat like that, right? Because you're almost, if you start thinking too much about the game,
you're not thinking. You're just
it's like a paradox. No? How will he be both?
But you want the player to then become like Michael Bevan type. That your finish. And so Michael Bevan was
or
like
what
the
Dhoni
hero.
became later.
Or what Dhoni became.
Yeah.
And even at the start of his career, he had those like crazy finishes he pulled off.
Bevan was on another level for just batting through and bringing you back.
And chasing and being that chaser. So they wanted so the Indian team at the time, they saw in these younger guys, particularly Yuvraj as the leader, to be that sort of force in the middle order, that whatever you have done at the start, it's going to end with.
Also, if I remember correctly, we were still in that phase of the last 10 overs being very important.
Yes.
And the last 10 overs, you want at least one of your big top 6 to be batting.
Yeah.
Okay, IDFC first fact. During the 2007 World T20, the then BCCI Vice President Lalit Modi told the team that he would give a Porsche to anyone in the team who hit 6 sixes in an over or take 6 wickets in an over. Modi wanted to get some buzz going around his project called the Indian Premier League. You may have heard of it. And as luck would have it, Yuvraj Singh went home with the Porsche after his mind-blowing feat against Stuart Broad, who was allowed to sit as passenger. Let's talk about his test debut.
Yeah.
While all this is happening and he's, let's say the avatar of Yuvraj first is a little different, then he becomes more of a finisher.
Yeah.
And I think
And NatWest was his big thing.
Yeah, we'll come to that. Let's talk about the test debut before that. He's played a few, he actually got 100 early on, didn't he?
He's got 300.
3 test centuries.
2 in Pakistan.
2 in Pakistan.
In Pakistan. He was stuck. Where would he play? He had this middle order that was very central to India's performances at that time, in that first sort of Dhoni.
Did he open a couple of times as well?
Yeah, but that's slightly later. He opened like 4 or 5, whatever. Every time someone was injured or whatever, they said, Yuvraj.
If we just go through that order, people who are watching, there's Dravid at 3, you are untouchable.
Sehwag.
There's Sehwag at the top.
Sehwag plus whoever.
Before Gambhir.
Before Gambhir. Sehwag plus whoever. But in Yuvraj's sort of time.
Yeah. So you have Akash Chopra, you have a couple of others fighting for that position. Okay, then at 3 we have Dravid, 4 we have Tendulkar, 5 we have Ganguly, 6 Lakshman.
Depended where you want
Okay,
to play
but
Lakshman.
those 4 are untouchable completely.
So where would he have played? But the point is, because he was batting so well, they wanted to play him. They said, you have to play him somewhere, kahin bhi usko fit kara do time. And then open. So open is not your thing as a batter, but he did well under tough situations. So he made...
Sri Lanka,
He got in Lahore, we went to Pakistan. I'm like, my memory sort of is not very orderly, just staggers.
Don't worry, they'll figure it out. Very intelligent audience.
Yeah. So he went to Pakistan. We won the match in Multan, this one's match.
Right.
Sehwag's match.
300.
Ganguly was some injury, whatever. He came back. And then Yuvraj played in the match. He was top scorer in that innings where Umar Gul finished us off. He was top scorer and the next person after, and people barely made double scores. Apparently, in one match, Ganguly told him, "Are you ready to open tomorrow?" He said, "Full night I didn't sleep." And Ganguly next day said, "No, I was only joking."
Oh my God! So he's trying to project for the morning. Watch the ball. Watch the ball.
He said, "I could sleep." Yeah. He said, "No, of course I was joking." Yeah. And in that innings, in Lahore, in that match where they played, they had made it green means green.
Yeah. So because they had some serious fast bowlers.
They had serious fast bowlers and they'd lost the first test match.
Yeah.
In a big way in Multan, where it was dry and Sehwag just destroyed them. So they had serious fast bowlers. So they said, let's do it. And Umar Gul then turned up and he cleaned the Indians out in that game where Yuvraj had a decent score. So imagine 2 centuries against Pakistan. But he
against a strong Pakistan attack.
And he came to terms with and his dad wanted him to play 100 tests. So he wanted to play 100 tests. That was his dream. But I think at that time it would have been impossible. In any other team in the world, sort of outside of, say, Australia at the time or whatever, he would have played.
Yeah.
I think he would have played.
It's a bit like our spinners. Now, when we had Venkat, Bedi, Chandrasekhar and Prasanna, then Shivalkar, Rajinder Goyal, all these other names.
And they all 4 of them played together in only one
game.
Yeah.
There you go.
So it's like, it was tough. It just happens to be
that. So if Yuvraj was born a little earlier, a little later, it would have been a little better for his test career, is what you're saying.
Possible. Yeah. But for his one-day career, he may not have been the kind of player that he was. So everyone remembers him as a great one-day player. Yeah. But he was also a decent test player. He said, if you see how many matches I've played in a year, it was 5, 3, 2, 3, 4. He said it's like a bank account. You know, it's like 16 digit, it goes on. He said, it's like a bank account.
People, I also recently put all my resources to good use. I put them in my IDFC FIRST Bank savings account so I can make free money. Yes, free money! Because IDFC FIRST Bank savings account gives you more interest on your savings account and even credits the interest monthly. So I will be sponsoring my own gully cricket team very soon and become captain, vice captain and also night watchman. let's get now to the NatWest Trophy. I think
Yeah.
now he's reaching a point where he's Yuvraj the king.
Yeah.
And
The superstar.
The superstar. We've spoken about this before 200
With
times.
a great line, he said, I enter parties from the front door and I leave from the front door.
Oh.
Basically, at that time, the paparazzi thing was not even as much as it is now. But there were people trying to take pictures of Yuvraj with movie star, with actresses or whatever. No? But he was unabashed. He was like, okay, this is me. This is who I am.
I have a nice story about him actually. When he was very young, he'd just done the Kenya trophy thingy, and before his other exploits, we were in Chandigarh shooting for this music channel who I can't mention, which starts with M and ends with TV.
Oh.
And so he was there as this young celebrity. He came for that event or whatever. And I spoke to him and I said, Paji ki hal hai? So he said, Punjabi? So I said, no, I don't speak Punjabi. I was very disappointed. I was very disappointed. It was very sweet.
Punjabi.
Already he had 4 guys following him everywhere. The beginning of, superstardom.
Stardom, yeah. The Bay City roller story.
I think in India, exactly. In India, you always have the psycho fans or the, the chamchas. Without that, you can't be anybody.
Yeah.
Or bodyguards.
Correct. You'll walk in and have a posse.
You always
It's
have
the
that posse. So he had that. He had that already.
He
He was
had
just a
that.
young kid just coming up.
Yeah.
All right, NatWest. Let's take us through the background, of course. Flintoff had taken his shirt off, blah, blah, blah. In both the test series and the one-day series. There was a lot of
Just before
acrimony
that,
in
before
India.
that did come. Yeah.
India versus England. Then we go there.
Yeah.
And this is the final.
Yeah.
And we were about 5 down for nothing.
100 and... What is that great
100
score?
odd for-
146 for 5?
Yeah, 100 odd for 5, yeah.
I remember. We were 146 for 5. Everyone was gone. And the point was they started decently. And it was 325. And at one point, Nasir Hussain used to say, oh, India, give them a big total to chase and they crack. And then these 2 guys
This
turned
is
up.
when he wasn't funny. Now he's the funniest guy in commentary. But as a cricketer, he never smiled. He had nothing nice to say.
When Kaif came into bat, everyone thought it was finished. So Yuvraj
last
had
batsman.
a name. Yuvraj had a name. But they had played together from under 19.
Correct. In the beginning, nobody took it seriously also because the game's over. And that might have helped them also for
They
a
had
while.
no concept of who these 2 guys were who were there.
Yeah.
Yuvraj had a name, but everyone thought because of his whole persona, they looked at him and said, he'll play some super shots and get out. And he's got that sort of.
So England may have
outward
relaxed for a little while, but then suddenly they started hitting those big shots, I think. And Yuvraj actually started the smacking around. And suddenly there was a little hope, a flicker of hope. But then, to have that long partnership, and then of course Kaif finishes it off.
They had got a fitness trainer for the first time to the team. So this is 2002.
Yeah.
Okay. For the first time, Indian cricket hired a fitness trainer.
Right.
In, say, between 98 and now, the physiotherapist was supposed to be physiotherapist,
Was an
trainer,
all-rounder.
doctor, do whatever.
Psychiatrist also.
Psychiatrist,
Yeah.
definitely. Andrew Leaper. So they got this trainer. This guy was Adrian LaRue, who had run
The South African.
the South African who had run that Comrades Marathon of 96 kilometers.
96
He was a
kilometers.
tough
Please don't
guy.
try that at home and please wear underwear.
He was a tough guy.
Yeah.
So he had started doing fat analysis. What are you eating? So all that was there. And they suddenly found themselves being more careful, more whatever, and training really hard for fitness. So these guys, again, the story was that both Kaif and Yuvraj were these. They used to literally practice an hour after the team had finished on fielding drills. So they were much fitter and nicer.
They're also younger than our middle order.
Of course. And but at the same time, then you can immediately there's a part of the field that is electric. So they had got this whole thing about fitness and endurance and whatever. And that was another part of the picture that they thought was coming.
And they ran their singles really fast. Both
They-
of them.
yeah,
Kaif
yeah.
forever. And I think Yuvraj in the first half of his career was the fastest.
If he wants to run fast, he'll run fast.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have to run fast, he'll not run fast.
Correct,
That was his
correct.
this thing. Their partnership and their friendship in a way, when they used to stand next to each other at cover and at point, was so much a part of that of what we saw in their batting as well.
When you think about the fact that you talk about the great partnerships, not just in one-day tests, wherever, friendship plays a role in most cases, like Greenwich and Haynes.
Yes,
Got along very well together.
yes.
Langer and Hayden.
Yes,
Great
yes.
friends, etc.
Yeah.
And now you talk about
Dravid
these
and
two.
Lakshman, crazy
Dravid and
number of
Lakshman,
hundreds
great
together.
friends, super
Yeah.
friends. And also in domestic cricket, Dravid and
Yeah,
Lakshman together,
yeah,
and South,
yeah.
for South Zone, etc. But coming back to these two, they came up the ranks together, they almost debuted almost very, not
Yes.
too far apart.
Yes.
And then this goes back into that level of comfort thingy that you're with your pal and you're having a good time.
In a way, Yuvraj's personality was such that no matter what people were saying to him, he was like, boss, I've been through so much more growing up. Who are you? You keep talking, doesn't matter, I'm not listening. And he would not answer back in that sense.
That was the thing that propelled him, but what really made him into the bigger superstar, world superstar, was a guy called Stuart Broad.
Yes. It started from being abused by Flintoff. Or being said
This
some
is
sledging.
before Broad gets the ball.
Yes. Before 6 sixes.
They always sledged him. For some reason, Yuvraj was the guy, like they never sledged Sachin. But they always sledged Yuvraj because he liked to talk back or what?
Or he'll just hit you for a say, what is the point? Because you're seeing that it's not bothering him.
Yeah.
He doesn't get out because you sledge him.
Yeah.
He gets out for other reasons. That's not the thing that causes him to get...
So then there's a little bit of acrimony between them. They
They
have
say
words.
something, yeah, whatever. He's from Chandigarh. Do you think he'll not be able to answer?
Of course. I'm sure. He's no innocent kid. I'm sure he's giving it back to him. And don't forget the Indian power of 7 languages against 1. So we can, any one of us can do 3 at least.
At least 3.
But then what happened was like, I know Gary Sobers has done it in county cricket and Ravi Shastri
It's
against
not a
Raj
common
Tilak.
thing.
It's not like Herschel
Sixes
Gibbs.
is not common.
It's not common. It's not even common in
even
first-class
in
cricket.
2020, it's not common. You don't. You can do 5. You can. For some reason, there's still a magic to it. There's under 10. I think there are under 10 players, including if you're counting
Across all divisions of cricket.
I think so. I think it's the number is still under 10.
That's fantastic.
I think it's
But
under
look
10.
at what you're talking about, 2007 T20 World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, to do it there against amongst the best teams in the world, amongst the best fast bowlers of his generation,
Amongst
you
the
cannot
best
deny that.
prepared T20 players as compared to
Yeah.
us. We had played one match.
The point is they hit those 6 sixes.
I was there.
You were there?
I was there.
Oh, please. Over
so
to you.
It's the whole thing is mahal, right?
Yeah.
It's much better watching on television because you can see clearly.
Yeah. Plus, we get the repeats.
Correct. You
all
can
the
see
time,
replays, you can take notes nicely and sound very wise. So I used to work for India Today at the time, and you have to always sell a story to India Today before you went. And you think, but you're going to a sports event. How can you say what's going to happen? No, you have to sell us an idea. So I sold them this idea of T20 cricket has come. I will do article. There is a World Cup. I will go. So they said, okay, you don't go now. You go later matches. So they sent me, and I reached at 2:00 in the afternoon. I landed, and the match was at 6:00 in the evening. And that's the first match I saw. I was like, India Today, thank you very much.
India
And it
Today,
was a
South
cover
Africa
story.
tomorrow. I mean, it literally went like in no time.
And it was a cover story for the magazine the next week because we won. Because we won that day.
Yeah. What was it like to be in the crowd when the first 6 happens, for example? And obviously words must have been exchanged after every
And
ball.
it was England, so you had all the English. So you know what happens in a press
The
box
Barmy
is-
army was there.
It's the press reporters who are like basically sniggering at each other in that sense.
So you have your own common war
So
going
you
on.
have it's a little subtle, it's very undertone. And so they are there and this and that. And the first 6 come and you're like, no one thought. And we would have been, I can't remember how many Indian reporters. I remember at least 3, 4, 5, maybe 10. We were 10 of us, we're not too many. And then the second one happens. And then after the third or the fourth, and they were incredible shots. It was not just slogging and top edging because the bat is the size of some tree or whatever, nothing. It was like proper shots. And then everyone started to like get a bit jumpy as to what's going to happen. And the crowd, of course, had just totally lost it. And they're screaming and shouting. And it was like a mela in a way because no one had seen that tournament before. We had played, we had this crazy match against Pakistan. And we had won in the bowl out.
Correct.
Just because they had been told to bowl out.
The non-regular bowlers bowling.
And they'd been told
like
to
Robin.
practice. Yeah, they told to practice. And they bowled. And they said, like, get the spinners to bowl. You don't want fast bowlers coming and trying to. They'd done all that preparation. And it was just a very maja time because this was a very young group of players. You didn't know half the people. They didn't know you. Dhoni was the captain. All the seniors that said, we are staying at home. And when that 6-6 came, it was like we actually got up on our feet and we started clapping, which you don't do in a press
What was
box
Flintoff's
normally.
reaction?
Who was watching? We were looking at Yuvraj, who was behaving like a king, like I own the world. Yeah, I own the world. Like, of course I was going to do this. What did you think and all that? So it was.
Main hu Yuvraj.
Some-
That same
it
kid
was
is
like
looking out of the
that.
car
Yeah,
and shouting in
I am Yuvraj
Chandigarh.
Singh. So it
Yeah.
was like that. Saying, now you know me. And he had this whole air of, like, of course I knew.
Yeah, that's a matinee idol quality. He still does.
Completely.
Yeah, there's no doubt
Completely.
about that. And you need that. You want to push the game. You need a few stars.
I think people don't realize when they see him on TV how large he is.
Yeah, he's 6'2".
If he walks into a door, he is, and not like currently.
Well-built
Even
guy,
when
yeah.
he was in his prime, he was large. He occupied space. In that stadium, it was like he owned the whole stadium. Like he was bigger than the stadium. It was mad. It was just crazy. Of course, this is my imagination talking, and I'm excited.
No,
to think
obviously you
about
become
it and
larger with
everything.
the achievements as well. But you're right. He's a
Under
big
a
frame and
lovely
strong
dark sky.
looking
It
guy,
was
yeah.
actually fantastic.
Well, lovely dark sky for us, not so much for England.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who cares?
But let's go to the 2011 World Cup. All right, because this is where the book also
Yes,
starts.
the book Test of My Life is basically about a little bit about the start of his career and that whole World Cup and everything that happened.
And let's now talk about the other thing that happened, the Big C.
Yeah.
Okay, which I think nobody knew about. You tell us.
So he...
But the weight gain and all that started and people
he
started
had-
making comments.
he at one point in time, he had a lot of injuries. He had dengue. He broke his finger. He said, every medical hospital, every hospital, you can look in the departments that are there. He said, I could have gone to all of them. Orthopedics, this, that, and pulmonary, whatever. He had all stuff was going on. Gastroenteritis, the works, everything. General medicine, whatever. So he said, in a match in South Africa, we won a match against South Africa. It was a very tight match by one. It was a one-dayer. We won it by a single run. It was only for the first or the second time we had won a one-dayer. By that much time, he said, everyone piled on top of him because he took the catch at the end of the match. He said, I told Yusuf Pathan that I cannot breathe. He said, Utja Yusuf, mere ko saas nahi le sakta. I can't breathe. And he said, I never picked up on all those signs. He was vomiting blood at some point during the World Cup.
For no reason.
He couldn't understand what was going on. And he kept thinking it was something else. He thought, Chennai mein there's a lot of humidity. So when I'm running, he said it was like you could only take half a breath when you're running. He said, I couldn't figure out what was happening, but the World Cup was the thing that was just pulling me through all the time. Even before the final, Dhoni came to the press conference after we won and he said, he was vomiting and all. So I asked him after, I said, what happened? And I said, was it stress? He said, yaar, stress hota hai. It must be stress. And all.
Why stress?
I said, no. I said, did you eat something that you vomited? He said, no, yaar, must be stress.
But 10 years later, how would he have stress? I mean, 10 years he's playing the game, so you're dealing with the stress.
I mean, because the World Cup had come to India. It was a big World Cup in India. So everyone was under that hole. He said, you couldn't even step out of it without anyone telling you that you have, sir, jeetna hai, room service boy, lift man, whatever. So he said, just stress. And it took him almost a year to actually figure out what was going on because he had, he was an athlete and he used to compete, that it was called mediastinal seminoma is the name of the thing. He said because it was in between his lungs, he had not fallen victim to it in the sense that it had not taken over. Because he was training, playing, breathing, he was able to get through that tournament. In Chennai, when he vomited blood, and he used to cough all the time. He used to cough and he used to vomit blood. And he said, he told Nishant, who then became his manager after some time, that I am going to score 500 runs and I am going to take 15 wickets and I am going to win the World Cup. And they said, just started. So when we heard this story, it was like, yeah, Yuvraj is talking Yuvraj Singh. So we heard it in the middle of the tournament. And then you found this out. And nobody had an idea of what had happened. They kept thinking all kinds of things. That there's a great story about his mother. He was using two bats. His one bat disappeared. His mother took it to a Babaji that the family believes in. And that whole Sangat blessed the bat. And that's the bat with which he played the World Cup. The moment the World Cup was over, the bat broke. I find those stories totally psychic and fantastic. But that cancer, when it was diagnosed, then everything made sense. He said, I just realized, how had I missed out on every single clue that was there, that was coming in front of me? That I was
still relatively young.
Yeah.
Early 30s, I think,
yeah,
at best.
Yeah, absolutely. But cancer doesn't pick age, no?
No, but I'm saying he couldn't even blame age for the breathlessness, the tiredness, that, the slowing down that happens with age. I'm speaking from experience.
Yes. Or you'll say stress. You'll say, it's stress. It's like, the World Cup is too important. I'll see it late. So that day when, in the South Africa, he went and told the physio or the support staff guy that something's wrong with my breathing. I can't breathe properly. When that Yusuf Pathan's thing was there. And he said, I'll wait till the end of the World Cup. And then they found out what it was at the end of the World Cup. That's the thing that happened.
And then the comeback story is also very interesting, right? Because, he must have thought...
And he came back, wearing cap, sunglasses in the airports. He said, because I didn't have eyebrows. He said, that's why I wore sunglasses. And I was bald. And though he actually shaved his hair off. He said, I don't want my hair to fall, I just shaved off when he was in the US. And then, so then we did the book in that time. And it was quite amazing to see how he was remembering experiences. And it was quite a moving thing in a way to see who this guy was and how he said one of his friends gave him a t-shirt that says, I have a chemo brain, what's your excuse? Because people would walk into his sitting room and he'll say, okay, hello. And he said, who are you, sir? He said, sir, I'm your lawyer. Or sir, I'm your chartered accountant. Like he could recognize people.
Really?
Yeah. When he came back from, just when he was recovering, he'd come back from the treatment, he had some 20 cycles or 28 cycles of chemo or something like that. Crazy number. It's just mad. It is a large number and it is 20.
But he then plays again.
And plays again.
which is unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really the real heroic story of his.
Yeah.
Because the rest is all about talent and of course the hard work.
Yeah.
But this is because
Yeah.
this is the
And it
spirit
really changed.
triumphing.
It really changed. I don't know how. I mean, you could see that there was a shift in his personality and what it and how everyone rallied behind him.
Shift as in he became more
As
mellow,
in, I would say mellow. I would say
nicer.
No, he was always nice. I mean, no one ever had any problem. Like reporters, for example, we didn't have a problem
Maturity.
talking.
What?
I mean, yeah, actually, it's interesting what you're saying. I think it just shifted something inside him in terms of priorities.
Yeah.
You know, what's important, what's not. You know, that kind of thing. But he still, when I met him once, he had an orange Lamborghini outside his house.
He's still Yuvraj.
He's still
You can't take the Yuvraj out of Singh.
Yeah,
He's
exactly,
very much there.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, he's I don't know where that car is now.
But
it's damn cool.
but
It was
he's
a damn
a
cool car.
really
And this was
inspirational-
in Gurgaon. This is in Gurgaon. I saw.
They've got cars. When you're a superstar like Yuvraj, you've got cars everywhere. But this inspirational story,
Totally.
literally from just his entire story is great.
Yeah.
And he's remained Yuvraj from start to finish.
Yeah.
He still hit the ball hard.
Yeah.
He was still a good fielder. And towards the declining power
Yeah.
of his powers
Yeah.
as well, there was the odd innings here or there. In the IPL, we saw sparks here or there.
Yeah.
Where suddenly
Sparks. So if you see his post, what I do is when I see his post cancer
Yeah.
stats.
Yeah.
So I don't look at runs, average, strike rate. I look at 4s and 6s. I said
Yeah.
every time he must have hit one of those, we must have got so excited.
Yeah,
Kuch
old
hone wala
Yuvraj
hai,
is
you know?
back.
Yeah.
There were a
Kuch
few
hone wala hai.
cameos, there were a few innings where,
Yeah.
I was at Wankhede
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
my
yeah,
young
yeah,
son
yeah, yeah.
watching him bat and all that. And he's special. There's no question about
And he
that.
got such a superb response when he came back.
Yeah.
It was so wonderful when he came back.
Yeah.
It was such a great. It was just so good. I mean, he was so pop. He loved stardom. He loved.
He's still a star.
He's still a star.
He's just had this Cancer Foundation
Yes.
awareness thing that he
Yes.
did in London.
His doctor Nitesh Rodgi. So we spoke to doctors. We spoke to. So when we spoke to him, he said, he's going to do more for cancer support and cancer awareness than he did for cricket. I said, how is it possible? He said, no, because he's talked about it openly.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done.
No, I think he's been tremendous. And but before we wrap it up, I want to ask you one first-class innings which I have a memory of is a 358. I know it's not then that he made against Behar against Dhoni.
Yes,
Dhoni, there was
yes.
no Jharkhand against
Yes,
Behar.
yes.
And I remember this. Remember it when it happened.
Yeah.
At 350, and that's why I always thought red ball he should have played more,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah,
But you don't
yeah.
make 358 runs
Yeah.
in a first-class game.
That also has a fantastic story where he used to, of course, no mobile phones at the time. He used to call up to one of his friends or his like an older player to call to say, how was your day? He had to call father. If he get 150, father will say, why didn't you get 200? And he used to call this friend of his. And he said, kitne bar run banaye? So he said 358. He said, हाँ और तुमने? He said, पाजी मैंने केले बनाए run. They're my runs. I made this. This is my story.
What was the reply?
Yes, he was shocked.
For
They
once
took
there was
800.
he wasn't prepared for.
Yeah,
400 क्यों नहीं बनाया?
No. This was his friend who said
Oh,
this.
this is a
to
friend,
me. This is a
yeah.
friend who said it. They were stunned at that total because they thought he said the Behar players were sniggering and all at us in that one day match. They were looking at us like, oh, what do you think 358? What is he said? Chal, I'll show you. Yeah, दिखाता हूँ.
And Dhoni was in the opposition.
Dhoni was in the opposition.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we don't have a story about Dhoni versus Yuvraj at that point. But Dhoni,
In the Dhoni movie, there's a Yuvraj figure that comes there that you look at him and say, oh, they have taken Yuvraj and just fried him in there. He had that image. That's what this. And he's not that kind of a guy in the sense that he just has that persona. He's not arrogant in that sense. He's not that. But he loves being with the public.
he likes the spotlight.
He loves
and
the
why
spotlight.
not?
And during a cancer meet that we did, he was there once. They were hustling him because people wanted to talk to him and they were trying to move him out. And he said, "Please, these are my people. The rest of it is bheed. It's not."
Oh, sweet. One thing we want to talk about for a second here is should he have got the captaincy? If you look at that mid 2000s period where Dhoni becomes the captain,
He definitely thinks he should have got the captaincy.
Yuvraj.
No. I mean, I'm just saying this in a very loose manner way. We've never had a conversation about this. But there were certainly senior players around at the time who thought they should have got it because of seniority. So, he was one of
But
them.
was he captaincy material for you?
I would think, actually, quite interesting that you asked it because after his cancer and he came into, he played a lot of first-class cricket for Punjab and helped a lot of the younger players along. Because he had been treated in a horrible manner by senior Punjab players, he did the absolute opposite.
But he's also the star of Punjab.
Yeah.
But then if he became captain in India, he'd have to bridge the gap between the seniors who were still there, some of them, and the juniors who, of course, would worship him.
Maybe they would not have made him test captain in that sense, but white ball captain, you're thinking, yeah, maybe he could have been given a chance. But then the Dhoni story is so fantastic in its own way that you're saying like, okay, the decision they took was fine. In
hindsight.
In hindsight.
Yeah.
Also, there is, I think, a certain level.
What if Yuvraj won more? We never know. Yeah.
You never know. So maybe there is also this whole thing of, these players who are of this particular type, you can't be a captain. There's that whole, the sort of bad
So
boy,
what is the type that
superstar.
Yuvraj is? Because he's a flamboyant guy.
Yeah.
That he shouldn't be
kind of-
captain. But Imran
it's-
Khan was flamboyant.
Yeah, but
in the early part of his
but
career.
Imran Khan was like a Nawab, and everybody
Fair
else is
enough,
like
but he had a absolutely. They used to use the word playboy and all.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
Wasim
yeah.
Akram would
But
go on
in
record.
Hindustan, we'll do Playboy captain. We'll make.
We won't
What
make.
do you think? I don't know.
रवि शास्त्री को एक टेस्ट मिला.
देखो एक ही तो मिला.
एक ही वो भी मुश्किल से.
और जीता वो. जीता.
Hirwani became a legend and then never played again. Yeah, another story.
Yeah,
So as we wrap up, give me one line that would define him or describe him.
Zindadil, boss.
Zindadil.
Mishra ji gave it to us.
Mishra ji is always correct. We can't argue with that. Yuvraj Singh. Before we wrap up, which is acting for wrap up, a quick warning from IDFC FIRST Bank about fake job scams. Scammers pose as recruiters with attractive job offers, create fake postings and websites. They may even conduct fake interviews to steal your personal info or ask for money. Research the company, beware of unrealistic job offers, and be cautious of unsolicited emails. Never pay for a job or share sensitive information. Oh, that's all I have time for. I've got to go. Got some information I need to share.